Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and I have a handful of bugs left. So I've put them in order in what I think is the order I'm going to actually try to address them. I may move this around, but there's about 6 left. And again, most of these are really, really small, but I want to be able to handle them. And I think I should be able to. So, and I just want these off the radar. You know, it's like they're little bugs, like literally little bugs that they annoy you, and you just, like a mosquito flying around your ear, you just want to get rid of them. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the next set of videos. I should move my phone so it's not bugging me. So where are we? So this is the first one I'm going to do. And this one, what ends up happening is when you do a T request being equal to or set to object, you have two methods that end up being exactly the same, and you can't tell the difference. Even if you implemented one explicitly, it doesn't matter. So I think I know where I have to solve this. And that's in a previous video where I added in a thing to say on the interface itself, if you find two that match exactly, then you'll say one gets implemented explicitly. I have to change that so that that is now saying don't implement it at all. Just pick one and that's good enough. So I'm going to set up a branch. I'm going to put this test in, make sure it fails, and then we're going to go in and see if I can fix it. So this is one of these funny cases where the test putting in the code that I have in my sample here actually passes. And I thought I had put this code in here because when I created the test originally, when I was playing around with it, it would actually fail. And as you can see here, it clearly creates the two methods. Okay. But when I pull this code out, ignore this. It's just basically saying it needs to be prefixed right, avoid empty interfaces. But when you do this and you say implement the interface, it gives you just one. Okay. So I'm guessing we should be able to get away with this just doing one. And I think I know where this is located. If I go to mockable methods, not that, no, not that. Is it get mockable methods? Those are the tests. Yeah, there. Okay. So this is what I added in last time, I think. This or thing. Okay. And I think what I need to do is take off that it's a method match exact. Okay. Now I'm going to put a comment in here. I'll say we need to explicitly implement matching methods from the object type, but if they exactly match from methods on the type itself, we don't even add it to the list. So it's actually, it's a little bit more involved than that. So yeah, hold on. I got to think about this for a second. So this one we've just kept in, that's what was always there. So that one we can ignore. This one is saying, if you find any that value match switch, there's technically 3 states. And it gets even more complicated. It gets more complicated because in this case, we actually want to look to say, do the first one, because if it matches on what's something you've already found exactly, then don't do it. And only if you find something that matches. Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, I know what I'm doing here. I'm saying if you find any that return a true, then do the explicit implement. So what we want to do is say if methods dot any value match self method equals, and then do a not. Not that. This. Okay, and then we pull this up. Actually, we pull this whole thing up. We put it in there. Now, what's... Oh, I have the... I was being stupid here. Not method thing. There we go. Okay, so that's part of it. But now we need to say here that. Okay, so now we're saying if we don't find something that's an exact match, then do this and see if we add it. Okay, so now what I'm expecting this to do is, let's pull this out of here. And let's come down here. And what we should see is a couple things. This one will be here. I believe this one's going to go. Okay. And then the one that is a explicit is going to go as well. And then we have something up here that also does something explicit. Yeah, that one's also going to go. Except not all that. Okay, so let's see what it does here on this one first. All right, it failed. What did it fail on? Yeah, I was hoping it would just be like a spacing thing. So let's see if we can. Ah, yes, it put too much there. Good. Okay, so that was the only thing. So let's come down here. Yeah, too much. Too much. It sometimes happens when it does that. Okay. And that also passes. So that's the first step. Let's now go here. Say run all the tests on the test project. Okay, those all pass as well. So now I'm going to do the dance of shut down, start up again. I'll run the integration tests. And then in the code generation tests, I'm going to do two. I'm going to run it where I just do it on mass transit, because again, this is where I found it. I think I'm actually, that's wrong. It says 16 errors there. I think it's actually like, it was up to 22, but half of those I think were because of this bug that I hopefully just fixed. So we'll see if the count goes down. So I will be back. Well, I didn't expect this, but upon further inspection, it makes sense. So they all pass and everything now. Now I'm only getting, let me change this before I forget. So I'm going to take this out of here and we're going to move passing back up to find that. And then this is now, where are you? 729. Oh, come on. There we go. So it's 729. But now we only have one error, and that's both on the make and the, yeah. Okay. So that's actually good. The thing that was surprising here is this actually eliminated another bug. So which one was this one? It's in my list. Yeah, don't emit default values. So this one is saying, because if you have something like this, then you shouldn't emit the optional values for the second one that's implemented explicitly, because they're not needed, if that makes sense. So this is one of those, because I eliminated all the methods that were being implemented twice. This also eliminated this problem for those. I still think I need to fix this. And I think, is that next on the list? Yeah, it is. So we're going to fix that one as well. What this is basically saying is, if you do have things that are explicitly implemented, I don't think you need to put in the optional arguments. Now, I say that, and let's go to the Sharp lab, because now that I'm sitting here talking about this, I'm not quite sure that's correct. So if I say public interface, I foo, and I put in something like, void blah, and I have int x and int y, which will be 3 as a default. And then I come down here and I say public class X, which implements ifoo, and I say, go ahead and implement that. Right, it will do it because it's not explicitly implemented. But let's remove this and now say, yeah, so as soon as you do it explicitly, they go away. It doesn't matter if you have a match or not. It's purely, do you have an explicit implementation? Okay, so I'm going to keep that up. But that's cool because that actually eliminates pretty much all the things from mass transit except this one. And this one is on the list, but we'll come back to that later. So I'm actually going to commit all this, and then I'll make a branch, and we're going to tackle this thing that I just talked about. I should mention that there's always a thought in the back of my head as I'm committing this. There's always a thought in the back of my head. I'm like, what about for properties or indexers or events? The things that are different about those is that you can't have generics defined for those members. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't end up somehow with things that match for indexers. Properties, maybe if the type of the property, like you had one that was object and then one was T, and then if you make it an object, that could be the same. I haven't run into that, but that could be a possibility. And that's one thing that I need to be, again, I think this whole, the changes I've been making to have like a read-only model for my mock, that's all done. I think another big change is getting the set of mockable members. I think that's twisted, it's hard, it's not clean, and I found a bunch of corner cases. I need to keep those in there, but I think there's probably a much better way of handling this. I just need to not spend time to sit there and go, okay, how do I actually do that? So anyway, back to getting things set up. Okay, got it all set up, branch, everything. It is actually generating the 2 with this. It's passing. For some reason, my tests, when I have a warning, which is what this isn't an error, this is a warning, it will still pass. So, yay. But what we really want this to be is that we will have 2, but that this one, I believe, yeah, this is the one that's implemented. The default should fall off. And it doesn't matter if it's default or like we saw 3 or some value, whatever it is. We shouldn't have for a method when it's explicitly implemented, putting in the default values. Now, how can we find this? I believe if I go to my models and I go to a parameter model, we should say has an explicit default value. Okay. And so if somebody's actually looking at explicit default value, then we should see is the containing method for this parameter. So where is this all being referenced? A fair amount of places. We don't care about tests right now. So yeah, we definitely have some work here. We definitely have some work. So let's kind of look through this and say, if it has an explicit default value, no, I couldn't do that. This is a property get method, which is a method model. And that should have requires explicit, yeah. So we do have it floating around. It's just, it's going to take a little bit for this to be in all the places it needs to be. And I would imagine this is for an indexer. Obviously, it wouldn't matter for properties. So I would imagine this is the same case for an indexer. In other words, if I come back over here, and I always forget the syntax for a indexer. If I say like string this, and then I do something like that, and I do something like this, and then I say get there. Okay, so now let's take this up. Let's say implement explicitly, and it goes away. So yeah, it's for every single case that you would do this. Okay, so that actually helps. So let's pin this here because that will hopefully make it a little bit easier to get through all this stuff. And let's close everything for now, except let's come back and make sure that the test Yeah, the default values generator test is up so that we don't lose this. Okay. So the parameter model, we don't care about. That's just an assignment. The default value here is, if we say has explicit default value and method parameters, no, and shim method requires explicit equals no, then we do that. Yeah, so we're just going to keep doing this in all the places we need to. Okay, so let's come back up here, down here. That's one trick. If you've ever done Control Tab, that goes through all of the windows that you currently have, and so you can go to like tool windows and go down there. A lot of times I forget that you can do that, and it's actually very helpful. So crap. So this is a static string. Is this a yes. So we're passing in parameters. Who's calling this? So we get the indexer parameters, but we don't care. Good. Okay, it's on the indexer. Great. So include optional parameters default. So what would call that? Wait, so the only place that this is being called is here. And we're always passing in a true. This is funny because this actually gives us a way out of this. So what we can say here is include optional. So we can say var include, why type when you can copy paste, equals indexer requires explicit. Wait, we don't want that. We want that. I think I did that here too, didn't I? Yep. Okay. So now we've just passed that in. So I think we just got what we needed, which is to say we only include optional parameters if we've said to do it and it has an explicit default value. Why I was passing in true, I don't know. I literally have no idea. But it's just this funny side effect that it gives us exactly what we want. So again, let's go look for those because it shut down that window for some reason. I don't know why. Is it because it's pinned? Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so let's come back down the list here. We did the shim. Yeah, we did that one. Okay. Let's do this one. And that one we just did. Okay. Let's come up here. And say, and method requires, so this implementation equals no. There. Because if you have an explicit default value and you don't need, I have to keep saying this, and you don't have an explicit implementation, because I know I'm going to screw it up if I don't. Let's actually come back here and grab that, because it's basically, whoops, no, not there. And that there. Okay. Here we're saying the same thing that we just did on the indexer, right? And this is a private. That kind of sucks here because I wanted to go back to the search that it did, and it kind of screws it up. But we're always passing in true, and there's only one spot. I don't know why I did that, but I'm sure if I spent time looking through the millions of videos I've made, I would find a reason. So here we're saying, I think we're going indexer requires no. And we put that there. Okay. And then we do that search again because reasons. I'm wondering if there's a way to say, hey, keep this up all the time. So where are we? Mock indexer builder. So we just did that one. But that's now based on that, so that's correct. This one is the, yeah, thank you. Oh, you're so helpful when you are deciding to be of the help. Are you going to do it again? Yes, you are. Oh, thank you. Makes my life so much easier. Mock indexer builder. Interesting, interesting, interesting. One is true and one is false. This is, well, okay, I think I know what it did here. This is interesting. Okay, so here, I believe it's because this is just a build here. Build getter, build setter. And then there's a build. Take that off, please. So in the build, we have to determine if there's an explicit type name. But here we're saying get signature. I'm a little confused as to why this is one is one case and one is the other. That's that. That's that. I mean, I'm not arguing that we have to do it twice. This is for a specific property that's an indexer. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with this one, and then in the next video, I'm going to continue with the remaining cases and make sure that we did not break anything, and then hopefully move on to the next thing I got to fix. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.